Hey, fellow babies. It's Michael Pachter. I'm here for Pachter Factor Live, and we're happy to talk about all the interesting things going on this week. If you are watching this as a patron on Patreon, thank you very much for your patronage. You're getting this real time. If you are watching as a YouTube subscriber, we very much appreciate the subscription. You also are getting it real time. The other way to get it real time is to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. And if you do that, we get paid, Shane gets paid by Amazon. It's part of your Amazon Prime subscription, so it costs you absolutely nothing. You're sticking it to Amazon. They pay Shane $2 or $2.50 or something. You have to re-up that every month. So if you haven't connected the two accounts in a month or so, please go to the description on how to do that in the show description below. All right, so I have to get to the news this week, but unfortunately there was no news. I have nothing to talk about, except maybe one small tidbit. We got clarity on the Nintendo Switch 2. Lots of announcements, and I'm not going to go through all the different games, but the device was announced. It was announced the day before the crybaby in chief decided to impose tariffs on the entire planet, and that's going to impact a lot. But the pricing is $449 in the US, and apparently fans aren't happy with that. I'm really surprised. The $449 price point is, $100 higher than the Switch OLED. If you look at all the components, it actually is justified. I spoke to Nintendo today, and while they didn't tell me specific pricing or anything, they did tell me that the margin on hardware sales is about the same as every other device they've ever made. They said it is not materially different. So let me give you the math on that just because it's pretty interesting. Nintendo normally makes 35% margin, meaning profit, on a device. And so that just means I'm going to use really easy numbers. If a device costs $100 to make, they sell it for $135. 35% of whatever it costs is the profit that they decide to make. So if you do the math and you take the $449 price point, kind of assume maybe $39 for the retailer, and that's around what they would give. They might give a little more. It might be $45, but let's assume $39. So it costs $410 wholesale. It costs them about $300 to make, $300, $302, something like that. So again, same idea. If a $100 price, cost is $135, a $300 cost is around $400. So I really think this thing costs $300 to make. I didn't realize how big it was. I know that they had announced it prior, but until I actually saw it, it's giant. I mean, that screen is giant, and there's a lot going on there. So again, we'll see if consumers embrace that price point. I think that they will before I get to tariffs. The software lineup looks phenomenal to me. Mario Kart World is something people are going to want. I'll get to pricing in that in a second, but the bundle with Switch 2 and Mario Kart World will be $50 more, so $499, and you're going to get Mario Kart World included. And I think that's a pretty compelling value. There's a Donkey Kong game coming July 17th, and I think that just, not that there's something wrong with their development process, I think they're trying to keep a cadence of games. So the Switch 2 launches June 5th. You'll get a new game for it at launch. You'll get another new game 6 weeks later. There are a bunch of other titles announced. Probably more impressive to me is that there's a lot of third-party support. And Split Fiction, which is a pretty new game, that's pretty cool. Cyberpunk 2077, that's massively cool. And I guess the right takeaway is if Cyberpunk works on this thing, the device is worth the extra $100. So that's as far as I can go on it. I mean, I'm not going to get into the components and the frame rates. If Cyberpunk works, and by the way, CD Projekt wouldn't let them have it if they didn't make it work. If Cyberpunk works on a Switch 2, then the Switch 2 is worth $449. Let me get to game pricing, and I'll do tariffs last. They announced Mario Kart World at $80. Now, when I spoke to them, they were almost apologetic, and I was saying to them, good for you. They were like, oh, this game is massive, and not all Switch 2 games will be $80, and others will be, $70. They broke the $60 barrier with Tears of the Kingdom. That was a $69.99, so $70 game. Donkey Kong is going to be a $70 game. So 70 is the new 60. That's going to be the core price for core Switch 2 titles. Mario Kart's going to be the $10 higher cost game. And 80 sounds like a lot, but I spent $70 on an N64 cartridge in 1998. So I'm kind of shocked that people don't get that. If you bought a PS2 game in 2001 for $50, please take my word for it. It's more than 80 right now. We've had 85% inflation since 2000. So a $50 game would be 90 something right now. 80 is not expensive. It cracks me up that people feel like they're entitled. And take a look at movie tickets. When I was a kid, movie tickets were $2.50. And when I was an adult dating, they were $4, and now they're 12 or 13. $80 is not too much. The $80 price point tells me that GTA is a certainty to be priced at 100, and 100 might be too low. They might even go higher. But good for Nintendo. That game's worth it. You're going to play it forever. And even more good for Nintendo, they're bundling it in with the console for only $50. So if you really want Mario Kart, and the attach rate to the Switch was something like 80%. If you really want Mario Kart, just buy the bundle and you don't have to pay 80, and you're getting an $80 game for 50, so it actually drives down the overall cost. And again, the lineup, they haven't announced everything, but there must have been 12 games announced for now and probably the next 12 months. You're going to have a lot to choose from. So I think the other interesting factor, they're planning on upgrading a handful of games, and there's going to be an upcharge. It's $10 to $20. I don't think they've announced specifically game by game what the charge is going to be, but there will very likely be new content for the $20 titles and maybe just an upscale for the $10 titles. They're only doing that with a handful of games. There are another handful of games that are just flat out backward compatible. So, most of their very popular games are either going to be flat out backward compatible, or you can upscale them for a $10 to $20 cost. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But, you still have your Switch 1. You can play the game on your Switch 1. If you want to do it, I doubt anybody goes to GameStop anymore, but trade your Switch 1 in at GameStop and buy a Switch 2. You probably will get $80 or $100 of trade-in credit, and you'll play just the handful that they decide are backward compatible. But I think that's fine. Now let's get to tariffs. I asked them specifically, the price doesn't include tariffs. And they said, that's right. And they told me this morning, under embargo now, it's been announced, that because of tariffs and the uncertainty, they were not going to take pre-orders when they had planned to, which is going to be tomorrow. So they had to put something out right away saying you can't pre-order. And the reason for that is they are not trying to screw the consumer. They don't want to mislead the consumer. They don't want to advertise it as $449 and then find out the tariff drove the cost up to $600. And let me get to $600 and how it got there. The cost of building this thing, as I said, is around $300. Unfortunately, Nintendo shifted production from a lot of it in China, almost all of it in China, to a much more even split between China and Vietnam. Trump came up with the dumbest tariff scheme I've ever seen, and I've seen many. So the math comes out to be that with Vietnam, there's a 50% tariff, because essentially Vietnam buys half as much stuff from us as it sends to us. So they have a 50% tariff. And the fact is that the US encouraged manufacturers to leave China and to move to Vietnam. So we created the problem. And so Vietnam exports a lot more than it imports. And so they have a 50% tariff. So let's go with 50%, because again, the math is so easy. If the Switch costs $300 to make, the tariff on 300 at 50% will be $150. So the cost will be $450. And they want to make 35% on $450. So they're going to have to essentially charge $600. And so it's going to essentially go to $600. That will destroy sales. Trump is a moron. He came up with something that's going to affect everything that gets imported. Everything. And oh, by the way, my t-shirt was imported. My watch was imported. My glasses were imported. My computer was imported. Idiot. My mouse was imported. Everything. My Link sword was imported. I think my Yeti coffee cup might have been made in the U.S. I'm not sure. So the reason Nintendo backed off is we actually don't know what the crybaby is going to do. He is the most unreliable, chaotic president we have ever had. The guy is just a disaster. The U.S. Constitution actually has a clause in it that says that tax and tariff and trade are the sole province of Congress, meaning only Congress can create tax, create tariffs, and regulate trade. It's Congress's job, not the president. Congress in 1977 created a law that delegated tariff authority to the president in an emergency. So Trump's basis for imposing tariffs on Mexico and Canada was there's a fentanyl emergency. On Wednesday, the Senate passed a law that said they want to revoke Trump's tariffs on Canada. Of all the fentanyl intercepted at the border, literally, a fraction of a percent came from Canada. So I think it was 0.3%, something like that. So the Senate took that bold step. The House hasn't yet voted on it. The tariffs that he imposed on Thursday morning were every country in the world across the board. There's a country that has no people. It's only penguins. It's Bear Island or something. He put a tariff on that. So it's up to Congress to take back the tariff authority. There will be lawsuits, but Congress can take this away in a minute. So the way to get this done, the House has a majority. I want to say it's 221 or 222 Republicans to 213 Democrats. So the idea is if you can get 6 Republicans, 5 or 6, vote with the Democrats, they will take this tariff away from Trump and they will be gone. And the market will work and you can get your Switch for $449. This is going to hurt you. You should let your congressman know that tariffs are bad. Republicans historically believed tariffs are bad, but they're all afraid of Trump. So make them more afraid of you because you're a voter, and these are going to be gone. So that Nintendo announcement today that they're going to delay the pre-order date from April 5th, they're hoping that between April 5th and June 5th, this gets resolved so that they can launch on that date. So this is what's called a regressive tax. Tariffs are a tax. They're taxing the Nintendo Switch 2. They're asking you to pay it. And the hope is that you'll be stupid and pay it, and then they can give tax cuts to rich people like me. I don't want the tax cut. I want low cost, low price stuff because, like I said, I like buying my Logitech mouse for $80 or whatever I paid. This thing's really cool. I like getting my Zelda Link sword for free from Nintendo because it only costs them a couple bucks to make. So I like getting an iPhone for $1,000 instead of $1,500. So what's going to happen with Switch 2 at $449? I think they sell about 3 million units in the June quarter, so they're going to launch June 5th. I think they will sell 3 million very fast. Nintendo knows what my forecast is, and I asked them about supply, and they feel really good about supply. If the device is $600, they're not selling that many. No chance, because that's just too expensive for most people. If it's $449, I'm pretty confident they get to that 18 million or so in the first 12 months. So I guess the moral of the story is don't be mad at Nintendo. Okay, the reason things cost more is because we are screwing up the world's economy with tariffs, and we're creating uncertainty. If you yell at Nintendo, there's nothing they can do about it. They're not going to give it away for free. That's not what they do. They make 35%. If you don't think that's a fair margin, then good luck buying anything. The tariff thing is 100% not their fault. It's 100% Donald Trump, nobody else. So if you're going to really be angry about the cost of the Switch 2, be angry with your congressman. Ask your congressman to do something. You have no idea how powerful your unified voice is. If every congressman gets 500 calls, this tariff bill is going to get passed, and they're going to get rid of all of them. and Nintendo can sell this thing to you for $449. So seriously, it only takes about 500 calls to each congressman. If you listen to this and call your congressman, I bet we get 5 to every congressman, or 10. That's all. That'll be a good start. Tell your friends, because they live near you, to do the same thing. Get on it, because your voice actually matters. Your vote matters more. And remember the old saying, I bought a face-eating leopard, and the first thing he did was eat my face. I can't even believe that. You voted for the guy who said he was going to impose tariffs, and now he's doing it. What a mistake. So it's going to cost you, they estimate the average household is going to cost $4,000 a year to pay for tariffs. That's just crazy. $4,000 extra to buy stuff. Crazy. And my point is, if you make 50 grand, 4,000 is a lot. If you make 500 million, it's not. Trump wants to turn around and give your $4,000 to billionaires and cut their taxes. Crazy. Don't take it. Fight back. Thanks for joining us. I am hopeful that you are a Patreon watching, and we appreciate the patronage. And or you are a YouTube subscriber. Thank you. That means you're getting it real time. Another way to get it real time is to connect your Twitch Prime account, your Amazon Prime account. Please remember to do that every month. There are instructions on how to do that in the show description below. And that just means Amazon pays Shane. It costs you nothing. It's already part of your Prime subscription. So take advantage, because you already paid for it. And literally 3 clicks and Shane gets paid each month. So please make the 3 clicks so that Shane can keep producing these things. I am hopeful that you guys enjoy your Switch 2. I think Mario Kart World looks like a really crazy good game, and I cannot wait to play it. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful week. Thanks for joining us on Pachter Factor Live.